In my last video, I went over Psalms 83, and I feel like, I didn't go into it to the degree that I should have in regards to contextualizing it. I feel like the context that I emphasized was just based in the video at hand as opposed to going more into detail about what Psalms 83 is in reference to. Because, it's not just talking about one nation of people, it's not just talking about one specific thing, but it does apply to the nature of those people who are confederate against us. But it's not just them, they're confederate with other nations, and that confederacy is based in, the ire and the hate and the mutual resentment that they have towards us. So they all confederate and they all consult based off of that mutual resentment towards us, pursuant to, just an example, the Atlantic slave trade, where you had two different nations conspire against one nation to put them down. That one nation being Israel, obviously. You had many different events in history, but that's just, one of the examples I could think of. So it's one of those things where it's like the enemy of my enemy is my friend type of thing. So Israel being the enemy of all nations pretty much on this earth, we're subject to scrutiny, we're polarizing, and we go through what we go through based off of the prophecies. And one of the prophecies that line up is the fact that many of these different nations shall be against us. And on many different levels. Some of these things aren't overt. Some of these things are just based off of the natural way of this conventional life where you have these stereotypes, you have these different stigmas, so on and so forth. And also the product of that being the black woman, because the product of the power structure is always going to be the woman. The woman is always going to be a product of the power structure, the woman and the simple minded masses. But the reason why I emphasize the woman is because when it comes to the black woman, she kind of hovers on that aspect as well, as far as like the enemy of my enemy is my friend type of thing, because the so-called liberal black woman looks at the astute, discernful black man as, like she looks at us with a certain level of resentment. And I experience this a lot with so-called black women, especially the black woman that's of this world, that's westernized. They express this level of resentment towards a so-called black woman that's on a black man that's on point and knows what time it is. When it comes to the simple mind, they don't express that resentment because it's all about the psychological aspect. A woman want to feel like she can dominate a so-called black man psychologically. A woman want to feel like she's smarter than a so-called black man. They may say stuff like, "Oh, I want a man to be smarter than me," but when shit hit the fan, they express their resentment towards that, their insecurities towards that, because it's too much pressure for them. You know what I mean? They don't like to be corrected. They feel like it's too much correction when it comes to that, because this person is so disciplined. Just speaking from the viewpoint of a woman, oh, this person is so disciplined. This person is so, headstrong, or more so, not necessarily headstrong, but just, this person won't fold or bend backwards, or he has a backbone. Some women, they don't like that. It's an affront to them. And I feel like they're a product of that based off of how the people in power look at us. It's mutual. You get what I'm saying? With that level of resentment as well as awe, because the black woman looks at us with awe as well. This is why they replicate the things that we do, or they try to. And I know that the black woman has her own specific, qualities as well when it comes to things that they're able to do. But for the most part, they replicate what we do in this world. That's why you got so many, female referees in sports that are dominated by men. Why don't you have the female referees in female sports? They want to infiltrate every aspect of what men do. It's just so much, but not to digress. Just going into this aspect where this kind of plays on, Psalms 83 in regards to, okay, they cut us off from being a nation, but in these last days we shall remember ourselves based off of the Most High blessing us, having mercy on us, and giving us that wisdom, that knowledge, that ability to discern this world when it comes to having a leg up, as well as just when it comes to spotting the bull crap that they disseminate to us on the level of deception, where you're able to spot the subterfuge, the devil, so on and so forth. As, O Lord, our power, thou hast dealt with us after all thy goodness and according to all that great mercy of thine. as thou spakest by thy servant Mashah, Moses, in the day when thou didst command him to write the law before the children of Yashar'Allah, Israel, saying, if ye will not hear my voice, surely this very great multitude shall be turned into a small number among the nations, where I will scatter them, a small number among the nations, because we spread to the four corners of the earth, because of the diaspora, as well as the understanding of what took place in 70 AD. You know, all of that stuff culminated with the eradication of Israel in regards to the splitting up and the scattering. Not necessarily eradication, in technical terms, but just in terms of killing most of us off to the point where we split up into small multitudes amongst the other nations on the earth. And then you have to take into account the understanding of the small multitude being of Israel based off of the 2/3 when it comes to the people who shall inherit the kingdom and the people who shall not inherit the kingdom. There's 2/3 that won't inherit, and there's 1/3 that will. So that small multitude is based off of the remnant waking up and understanding who they are according to the scriptures, according to the Heavenly Father, who is the God of Israel. For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people, but in the land of their captivities they shall remember themselves. Let's just read up one more time. If ye will not hear my voice, surely this very great multitude shall be turned into a small number among the nations, where I will scatter them. For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people, but in the land of their captivities they shall remember themselves. So this pretty much is like, the opposite of some of what you read in Psalms 83, just in regards to the overall sentiment when it comes to, okay, the Most High cut us off, and now the Most High is going to wake us up. The Most High is going to give us the understanding of what it is that we shall assume when it comes to the road that we're supposed to uphold. And that assumption is based off of the standard that the Most High set for us. So we uphold to that, and we endure, we follow it. And then you have to take into account, this is written by a so-called black man. These scriptures were written by black men because of the rhetoric. This type of rhetoric doesn't come from no other nation other than a so-called black man. Stiff neck is just another way of saying hard-headed. This is where we get it from. That's why we say you hard-headed. We say that because of the spiritual element that's in alignment with us. Some of our people don't know how spiritual they are. And some of our people have been broken down to the point where they're not spiritual as they should be, but for the most part, it's a natural thing with us. So like that term stiff neck, just another way of saying hard-headed. But in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves and shall know that I am the Lord, their power. I am the Lord, their power. I am the Lord, their power. Not the power of all nations, but their power, Israel's power. For I will give them an heart and ears to hear. I will give them a mind, and I will make them vigilant. I will give them the ability to discern. I will give them the ability to understand what's going on around them based off of the deception of this world, the overall deception and script of this falsehood of a world. Give them an heart, meaning a mind, it ears to hear. Hearken unto wisdom, hearken unto knowledge, hearken unto the Heavenly Father. And they shall praise me in the land of their captivity. And that's what we're doing now. Those of us who woke up to the understanding, we praise the Heavenly Father. We give credit to Him. And think upon His name. Think upon my name. Just reading it. And they shall praise me in the land of their captivity, and think upon my name, and return from their hard head, return from their stiff neck, and from their wicked deeds, for they shall remember the way of their fathers, which sinned before the Lord. That's the point that I always push in regards to why we in this position, because our people, our forefathers, they sinned, they transgressed, they went off. Therefore, we're punished because of that, as it tells you in the book of Deuteronomy. And I will bring them again into the land which I promised with an oath unto their fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the land of promise. And they shall be lords of it, and I will increase them, and they shall not be diminished. And I will make an everlasting covenant with them to be their power, and they shall be my people. And I will no more drive my people of Israel out of the land that I have given them, that being Canaan. Israel, my people Israel, Yasha'Allah, the people of the book. He is the prince of the power, Yasha'Allah, Israel.